Welcome to Talk to Me, my video podcast where we talk about photography, life, and the interesting people I've met on this crazy journey. Get ready for some powerful moments and some pretty silly moments, and definitely a lot of spilled tea. I'm Sheldon Bottler, and this is Talk to Me. What up, everybody? Welcome to the very first episode of... What the fuck did I call it? I don't even know the name of my own show. Talk to Me. Where we talk about photography, life, and the people that I've met on this awesome journey. So we're gonna jump right into it. Today we have Brandon Soohoo. And he's a martial artist, educator, entrepreneur, altruistic giver to his community. What else? What did I miss?
Oh, thank you, man. I think you covered it. A little bit of a troublemaker. I think you covered it. I like to make stuff. I like to travel.
Nice.
Yeah, that's it.
Now on the making stuff part, we had a conversation. You guys aren't privy to this, but we were having a conversation before camera started rolling about wanting to create more. And you said you started off with visual art.
Yeah. As long as I could remember, actually, my uncle used to come to my crib when I was like 4 or 5 years old. He was Uncle Wing. And he was a really good sketch artist. He was really good with like a graphite pencil, and he could like do really nice, like really 3D renderings of things. And I was really into monsters and creatures and like really fantastical drawings. And he would like, off the top of his dome, he would make these like crazy creatures, like melting WrestleMania looking dinosaur face things. And it would always like really enthrall me as a kid. And I was like, I want to make that. So I would kind of start off making like the stick figure version stuff of what he was doing. And just by nature of practicing, I figured out like shading, and I figured out like how to replicate things from like reference photos and stuff like that. And I really like drawing. It was something that I always liked to do.
Did you ever have a DeviantArt account?
I never had a DeviantArt account, but I was always looking at it. My DeviantArt account was on the back of all of my homework. So I would always turn in tests and homework.
With the drawings on the back?
Yeah, I would spend like maybe like 5 minutes on the assignment and 30 minutes on whatever I was doodling at the time. And my teachers loved that.
Right.
They loved that a lot. They fucking hated me. Like my teachers in school would always comment to my parents, like he would do really well if he applied himself to the work more than these doodles. But man, I had so much more fun on the doodles.
Yeah.
That's where I got my kicks. And I would draw like my friends in class, and I would like make little monsters or whatever. And I would draw my teachers, which they definitely got a kick out of. So yeah, that was my art career growing up.
So, okay, you've always been artistic. Visual art was one of them, and then it transitioned into what?
I also really like writing. I would write poetry. I was a very like moody kid, a lot of like preteen angst. I wrote poetry. I would like send it to girls that I thought were cute, and I thought I was real suave with it. I would just send them like just rhyme words about their names, and I thought I was so fucking cool. But I wrote music. I would write little like fun songs, like little raps, and stories.
You got 16 for us?
Not right now, not off the top of the dome. Me and my friends made a parody rap group called the Jungle Boys that never came to fruition because one of our members got like social media canceled.
Oh no!
I can't mention names, but
nope. Yep.
He got canceled real hard.
His name was Jeff.
Jeff. So my group with Jeff never saw the light of day, but we put a lot of time into it. We wrote like 5 full songs. We produced it. We took it to a studio. We made music videos. I had a whole video crew come out.
Wait, this wasn't in middle school?
No, this was recent.
Okay, I was like, wait.
Yeah, this is more recently. But my favorite class in in high school was like creative writing, because I got to just like make shit up, and I don't know. I always just like making stuff. So now I make videos and stuff.
And at what point did acting come into the story? Because you've got videos dating back to when you were what, 8?
11. Well,
11?
I was in like a Toys R Us commercial when I was 10. That was my first gig with a Toys R Us commercial.
Okay.
And then when I was 11, I did Tropic. That was my first like real gig. So ever since I was way little, I've been doing that. But for some reason in my head, I kind of separate like acting and stuff from from my drawing and writing, it seems like different things. One almost seemed like an extracurricular activity growing up because it was just something I would do after school.
Right.
And one was something that I would just do just for like shits and giggles.
Which was which?
The drawing and the writing.
Oh, drawing and writing in their own separate
and acting
bags.
was its own thing that I felt was almost like a team sport or something. It felt a little bit separate from my own little like crafts that I would make.
And who introduced you to acting? So you said your uncle was the one who introduced you to the drawing side, and writing.
Writing was just something I kind of just like did
Something you
for
picked
kicks.
up because the girls will do
For
it.
the ladies. Yeah, I would. If it weren't for the ladies, man, I would probably just be doing nothing.
And then, okay, so there's writing and drawing, and that's in its own camp. Half of it's for the ladies, and then acting. You got in the Toys R Us commercial. Who brought you into the acting world?
My family.
Okay.
It was really interesting because not a lot of Chinese Americans are in entertainment or Hollywood. It's not a very orthodox Chinese career path to kind of follow. So my grandpa was actually an actor. He was one of the earliest Chinese American actors in Hollywood. He was actually like series regular on shows. He had a pretty like well fleshed out IMDb page, my grandpa. So dude, shout out to Walter Soohoo, man. Like,
We'll pull up his IMDb page.
yeah, there was actually quite a few like entertainment workers in my family. So my dad would always do like, he did photo double stuff, he did background work. My aunts, they did the same. My cousins were actors. Shannon Dang, she just got on Kung Fu on CW. Do you know Shannon Dang?
No.
She just booked a series regular on a series called Kung Fu on CW. That's my cousin.
watch that.
Nikki Soohoo, she always denies she's my cousin, but we have the same last name, so I tell everybody that's my cousin. Nikki, we're cousins.
When I met Brandon, the first person I met was actually Nikki Soohoo, and I was like, "Oh, so this is your sister?" And they both gave me no, just same last name. And I'm, that's fair.
but we're pretty much cousins. I feel like we have so many like familial, like it's probably some ancestral connections in the tree somewhere.
And so my introduction to the two of you was the Zuko and what was the other character?
Azula.
Zuko and Azula.
She didn't do that short with me.
No, but that was how I got introduced to you. She had done something in that one. She was fighting in that one.
Yeah, she was fighting with Yoshi Sadarso.
What was their name again?
Yoshi Sadarso.
And then she introduced me to you at the party and started showing me clips of you fighting and stuff. And you had done one where you were Zuko, right?
Yeah, I did one where I was
okay.
Zuko.
Okay, dope.
Are you familiar with the whole like Avatar universe?
I watched that series 3 times. It is probably the best cartoon available. When I have kids, that's all they're gonna watch.
Oh man, as far as like Western cartoons go, I think it just captures so many really important messages.
Lessons, yes.
It's beautiful. It's a perfect show. It's so good.
Yep. There was not to get too nerdy, but there was one episode where Aang had to decide, do I go into my full power, my avatar state, or do I go save
Katara.
Or do I go save Katara?
Save the shore.
And it's like either you cut off your chakra for life, or you go save her, and he had to choose between love and this power, this other thing. And he's like, I can't do it. I choose love. And somehow he still found a way to become the full-fledged avatar. But even as adults, like we still have that question, like I've got to battle between my family life, my work life, coming into the person I think I'm supposed to be versus people's expectations. And like if you haven't seen this show, it's a cartoon, but it's life lessons.
It's a cartoon for kids, but it deals with things like genocide and like political warfare, and it's just like it goes really heavy. It's like an enlightenment. There's a lot of like Buddhist themes. There's a whole episode just about like his chakra and like pretty much the road from like from samsara to like nirvana, or is that how that goes? In
We're gonna Google that.
Yeah, but it's about his road to enlightenment, and it definitely like it tracks according to like actual like Buddhist beliefs. It has really profound messaging in it, and it's so silly at the same time. I love that show. I could go on for days.
Now, on the Buddhist tip, are you Christian, Buddhist, Muslim? What's your religious background, or is there nothing to it?
You know what? I think it's kind of a bit of nothing and everything at the same time, because maybe for the past like 5 years, I've been relatively
agnostic,
consistent with researching different kinds of belief systems and philosophies. I watch a lot of just videos about like breaking down like biblical stories, and I watch stuff about like breaking down Buddhist messaging. And I think my belief is that they generally all point in a similar direction. So my belief is like a mishmash of everything. And yeah, I guess I have a slant towards Buddhism a little bit. But I think the Bible's dope. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of the parables in the Bible, like, they make sense to me, like, in a metaphorical way. And, I do think that God is definitely something that lives in everything, and God is everything in every time, and it lives in everyone. We are all expressions of whatever God is. I don't know what God is, but I feel it, and I could observe God everywhere. But I don't know if it's a floating man with a beard,
right,
or any of that stuff. But it's
a very large white man pumping out children.
Yeah,
through the same woman. She's still alive. Mary Magdalene is still just more kids
ejecting fetuses. Yeah, like Stargate. But it's just a mishmash of everything. I think everything is everything, man. Yeah.
Has the everything is everything mentality bled into your work in any way?
That's a good question. I don't really know. Maybe like subconsciously it definitely affects like my choices and my decisions, but I can't directly see like how my belief systems like permeate my work. I don't really see that, but they definitely permeate like my mental health, and they definitely like affect my decisions in life, and it takes a lot of weight off my shoulders. I don't know. I don't really fear like death and stuff like that. So I think it takes a lot of that anxiety away, which probably affects my work in some way, but I don't know.
Cool, that's fair.
Yeah.
The reason I asked is because I've noticed that you delve into a lot of altruistic ventures where you're doing a lot of giving, involving yourself in the community. And I find that people who have not even necessarily are tied to a religious background, but some kind of faith, something that guides them usually towards peace, they do a lot of giving.
Yeah. That probably might be some expression of my belief system then. Yeah, that's probably a bit of that.
Now, did you always grow up giving a lot, volunteering, or was that a newer thing as an adult?
I mean, it's definitely something that I saw in my parents, and they were always very generous people and very giving people. My dad would always like be very conscious to like make sure if like we have extra food, like give it to someone who needs it. If you have a little bit of extra change, or if someone really needs, you'd always go out of his way to help people, and I would notice that in my pops, and I think that's something he instilled in me. Sometimes I would do it a little bit too much, like where my friends would even say like, oh, you're getting bamboozled or you're getting scammed, and I'd be like, fuck it, like if they're gonna scam me, then they probably need it more than I do. So I was always like, I had a slant towards generosity, just given that's like how I kind of was raised. But as I got older, I started using more of my platform because I started having more of a public voice.
When did you get a platform?
I guess I was so resistant to social media. I still have a very love-hate relationship with like having a public voice, because it's like
50,000 viewers.
Oh, I'm so precious about just like the things that I care about though.
Yeah.
And when I want to be just like, when I want to talk about something that I care about, something that I think is really personal to me, I get really just like precious about my word choice. And I just like, I get really finicky about sharing shit. So for most of the time, I'm like, I don't talk a lot about the things that I really care about all the time. And when I do, it's like really difficult for me.
Well, it makes sense.
Because it's personal.
It's personal, and we live in a time where people widely misconstrue your words and have the power now to take you from wherever you were in your state of power and greatness and go, we don't like that, we're gonna tell everybody, and then it's like all of my hard work gone?
Yeah.
From a simple mistake of word choice, or someone just taking a piece of what you said and leaving out the rest. So it's wise to be precious about what you care about.
Yeah, but the pitfall is like there's so much that I could really like, maybe I could share that could impact people. There's stuff that I could share that maybe could could make some kind of a difference, that maybe I'm being too precious about it. Like, it's really a struggle with my own ego in terms of like, you know, wanting people to like receive it well, as opposed to just being like open and you know, expressive and really just in my power. And so that's like something that I'm always struggling with. It's just like, okay, like fuck the results, fuck what people perceive it as, but just be like open, honest, and just like really true to what I believe in, and like whatever happens is out of my control. So I'm really trying to like lean into that these days. But also like, sometimes I don't feel like sharing things. Sometimes I want to just like be in the moment, man. And I feel like every time like I gotta post something, it almost like sullies what I'm talking about. It's like, as opposed to just having a conversation, I'm having a conversation so people could hear it, or as opposed to just like enjoying something, I'm enjoying something for people to see it. And like, it's that weird balance between like authenticity and like just like being present and really enjoying something. So it's like, I really respect people who could just like be present and also sharing it at the same time, and be authentic and also being aware that it's for a purpose as well. So it's a whole balancing act. It's weird. That's my love-hate relationship with social media. But I started doing it more after Ender's Game, where we kind of made me and some of the other cast members were making like a game out of it. It's like, oh, like who could post more, who could get more followers in a lot of amounts of time. Like we kind of like, we gamified it. So that was, I guess, my first foray into social media.
Take that tip, people. If you're trying to build your social media, make it a game, involve your friends.
Yeah, it definitely helps to have like kind of a support system, an accountability system, you know, because they'll be reminding you like, yo, how's your update? I mean, how's your like posting schedule? That post isn't being received well because of these reasons. Oh, here's some tips on engagement, et cetera, et cetera. If you're trying to do social media, it's good to be with people who also care and who are also doing it, because then they'll understand like the kind of like the grind, and they'll keep you accountable.
Very nice.
Yeah.
He's dropping bars, man. Bars. On that note, we're gonna take a quick break and we will be right back.
Wearing my hair natural means to me history.
Wearing my hair natural means to me freedom.
Wearing my hair natural means to me happiness.
Never surrendering. That I'm seeing. Wearing my hair natural means to me that we will not forget where we came from.
Kings.
Queens.
Together we march. Together we kneel. Together we stand. Black lives matter.
You are powerful.
You are brave.
But most importantly,
You are loved.
So we are back, and thank you for watching us have that little piece of conversation. Before we cut for that little segment, you had mentioned that you want to be more open, more, I guess cavalier isn't the word about it, but not caring so much about really sharing and giving of yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you a question, and you don't have to answer it, but I encourage you to. If there was a 10-year-old standing right there, and you had to give them any piece of wisdom, and it was going to change their life, and you just had to be very like, I have to say this, what would that piece of information be?
I guess off the top of my head, I'll just like spit something out. For the most part, for a lot of people, like you're gonna be searching for like the right thing to do, and like you're gonna be looking for the answers, and you're gonna be waiting for that aha moment. And I think that's so rare for people to have like a aha moment like this is it, like, oh, I've made it, oh, I figured it out. And I think like that's not the point. I think really figuring it out and trying to make it somewhere isn't the point. I really do think that just like choosing any direction, no matter what the fuck it is, and just putting your whole 100% into it, and then you'll figure something else out. And then maybe you'll realize that wasn't it, but then you'll like have more doors open up, and then you choose another door and give that your 100%. So I think the most important thing, I think, is to just choose something and give it your all and figure it out from there, because I'm still at a place where like, I don't think I've figured things out, and I don't think anyone in my circle has figured out everything. So you're never gonna like make it to a place and feel like this is it, you know? So I think the key is to just like choose something, anything. And And also, on the note of choosing something, just really listen to like what speaks to you. You know, like what is some of the first instincts of like what you like to do? What is some of the first instincts of what interests you? And choose something in that general direction. And there's a lot of, I think there'd be a lot of gold there. You know, don't just randomly choose shit out of a bag, but choose something that like sounds kind of interesting. And guaranteed, like if you put your heart into that, you'll either realize that is where you need to be, or that is where you need to go, or you'll learn where you do need to go. So just like choose anything and like give it your 100%. Very cliche, but I think it's makes sense and it works for a lot of people. I'm looking at that candle right there, like that's the 10-year-old.
It's a bright little light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very representative of what kids are, you know? Just shining bright and slowly dwindling down to just darkness. No,
Yes.
very slowly. You have at
Yes.
least like 85 years. It's an 85-year-old candle.
Children are very slow burning candles.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
what life is, you know? You're lit and then you're not.
Right. Right.
And I think that's fine.
I think this perfectly goes with the philosophy that everything is everything.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of information in every piece. So if I had to recap it, your piece of advice is pick something. And once you dive deeply into it, it will expose you to more and more and more information. And once you reach that pit of abundance, you'll find what you need inside of it.
Yeah.
Because everything leads to something. Actually, somebody gave me a really interesting piece of information when I was choosing my degree back in college. And they said something similar. They said, just pick one. If you're learning about one thing, you will learn about everything. And they gave the example of a chef. They said, what does a chef do? And I'm like, they cook. And I'm like, no. They said, no, a chef is a chemist. And I'm like, oh, interesting. And then if you're a chemist, then you have to learn about the products. If you learn about products, then you learn about manufacturing. Then you learn about, and somehow
Supply chain and systems.
right, and you end up, if you learn a little bit about one thing, you learn about everything that you could possibly learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true, and the key is just action, because the only thing that you could be doing wrong is nothing,
Yeah.
because then you're dead.
Yeah.
So I think as long as you're doing something and using your whole heart and spirit, like you'll be fine.
This does not apply to arguments. There's a point where you shut up and you don't just keep doing.
Yeah.
Speaking of fights, you chose martial arts at some point as
good
as a
segue.
do thing. So what made you start doing that?
Honestly, it was just something that I kind of found myself doing, because like Asian kids growing up in the San Gabriel Valley, you go to this Taekwondo school called SK Taekwondo. And that's like where I kind of found myself. And my dad was a huge martial arts nerd, you know, was a Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan fan growing up. And, you know, by the law of PEMDAS, I also became a Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee fan, you know? I don't know, Pythagorean theorem, whatever. So I became a huge martial arts fan, and I was a huge geek about it. And growing up, I was just like, I was real rebellious. And every time they'd put me into something, I would be like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to play piano. I don't want to do gymnastics, blah, blah, blah. They put me in everything. And that was like kind of the only thing that really stuck with me. So it's like, all right, I guess I'm a martial artist. And even that, I'd fight them for tooth and nail. I'm like, I don't want to go outside and do push-ups.
Right.
You know, because that would be like what they'd have me do. Like, go do your kata outside. Go kick that bag for an hour before you could go hang out with your friends. So it became like very much like a chore almost. And it wasn't something that like I was really like fired up to do. So up until like 17 years old, I was just giving them so much grief about it. I was like, I want to go hang out with my friends, ride my bike, and I want to break things in the backyard. I don't want to do handstands for an hour. Like, it's grueling.
Yeah.
You know, I got sick deltoids out of it, but it wasn't fun. And then I was like, fine, like do whatever you want. Like we're so exhausted fighting this kid, because I had a lot of energy at 17. I could really fight on these topics. So eventually they let me stop. And then I was just twiddling my thumbs, and I'm like, I'm bored. I'm fucking bored. So they eventually I was like, all right, I'm gonna go back to class. I realized it was dope. I realized it was, and after I chose it, I had a newfound appreciation for it. And man, I didn't realize it at the time, but martial arts, it gave me a lot. It really does. It's such a simple thing, like having to do like a physical task, but like there's such like a finesse to it, and you do learn a lot of like weirdly profound things in like very simple motions. Like you kind of learn discipline, you learn humility, you learn how to just really eat shit and like be okay with that. And that's a skill. The ability to like, it's almost like a militaristic kind of like level of just like, you have to just sit there and eat shit. And like coming out of that, you're a stronger person.
Give me, what was one of your most humbling moments?
Any kind of like martial arts class that involves like sparring or combat or any contact sports. There's always gonna be someone just bigger, stronger, faster than you. You're gonna think you're the shit, and someone's gonna teach you that you're not, and it's very humbling. And there's always gonna be a bigger person to spar with. So I feel like just getting kicked in the stomach real good is a humbling experience.
I've had that one before. I was getting really good at martial arts. I had made it up to purple belt. And my instructor was like, okay, you're gonna test into your next belt and you're gonna spar 2 people. There was someone who did Taekwondo and another one who was studying Kajo Kempo. The person I knew about his style, I'm like, we both do Kajo Kempo, I know what you're gonna do. The person doing Taekwondo, I'm like, how the fuck can you kick this hard? I feel like you're breaking everything in my body. And like, by the time 3 minutes had gone by, I was so tired just absorbing the impact of his kicks that I could barely move. And he gave me one side kick right to the sternum. I hit a wall like a movie character and just slid.
Yeah.
And I saw the look on his face because he was intent about that kick. He was like, I'm going to kick through you.
I'm gonna nail this guy.
But then the look on his face when he saw like, oh shoot, Sheldon's hurt. I literally was on the ground wheezing going,
Yeah.
But I learned not to talk shit to anybody because that day actually taught me you never know what someone is capable of, so be kind to everyone. Because if that was somebody on the street and they just kicked the shit out of me like that, was it worth what I had to say?
Yeah. I had a similar moment in my Taekwondo school, like with my instructor, because I was like around like blue belt level in Taekwondo, and I thought I was pretty decent. I think I naturally just had like decent coordination, and I mean, I also been practicing for years and years and years to get to this point, and my kicks were pretty good, and I was like, I think I could hold my own. And the instructor was like in the red belt and up section, that's like closer to black belt, red belt, brown belt, black belt, and they were in their area, and like he's like, we have an extra space here, does anyone want to try? And I stood up right away, very gung-ho. I was like, man, I feel like I could take some of these guys, and like the instructor's like, all right, you're gonna spar with me. And I'm like, but I was like, that's cool. Like, I mean, he was like playing with the red belts and the black belts, and like they were holding their own with the instructor. I was like, I could do that. And he's like, all right, you want to round with me? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And he just gave me the lightest, like little flick of a roundhouse kick like that, and it just nailed me in the sternum. And like I've just never felt a kick that snappy before in like my stomach, and it just knocked all the air out of me. I'm like, oh, like I should practice more. I should shut up. I'm not like hot shit or whatever. So martial arts is like instant results, like humbling, So I think there's a lot of awesome stuff there that it's valuable. Like if you got kids, put them in martial arts. Like it'll get the energy out of them. It'll get like a lot of like stress out of them, and it builds you up as just like an adult. It builds confidence. It builds discipline.
And a lot of patience too.
Yeah.
A lot of patience, like you were talking about the grueling days of getting to a point where your body could do something new and then sustaining that. And it teaches discipline again, teaches you to just be gentle with your body in a way, like very rough, but also like, this is what I have now. I'm accepting that this is where my body's at. This is what it's capable of. And I'm gonna keep moving towards whatever goal.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And the idea of like going past what you think your own bodily limits is, and going past what your own mental limits is for like the greater good, to get better, to learn a new skill, to, just to like, make your parents proud or anything, like just doing something that you don't want to do, but showing yourself that you can do it is a pretty powerful thing.
Were there ever any conflicts for you doing martial arts, being Asian in a time where there was kind of like some weirdness about that? Like it was like the black people and watermelon thing. It's like, it's cool, but it's also like, you're Asian.
It was never, I would definitely like hear comments like, oh, like very Asian, like, oh, like how typical Asian of you, but it never mattered to me. I was like, okay.
But I like this shit.
Yeah, dude, it's like, so fucking what? Like, I like doing it. Like, why would it matter if I was like, Muslim, black, Chinese, Mexican? Like, I mean, should I like do something else that's a stereotype of another ethnicity just so I don't fit into this? Like, I think that's stupid. I think Just do whatever you want. Don't fucking worry about it. Don't worry about what people think.
Now, where did you get that kind of fortitude? Because some people's reaction to being judged in any way is to run away. Like, oh, I guess I don't want that because I don't want that stimuli. And you were like, okay, deal with yourself.
You know, I was so fortunate to have grown up with a lot of Asian people. So I was so just like proud of just being Asian. And I grew up with a lot of just like dope Asian role models. Everyone around me was Asian in the San Gabriel Valley. This is the east part of Los Angeles. All Chinese, some Vietnamese people, like a few Latino people, and almost like no black and white people. It was mostly Asian people in the San Gabriel Valley. So like my idea of like racism towards Asian people was so skewed because it's like, dude, like how can you be racist towards us? Like we're all Asian. Like it was not something that I had to deal with. So it was actually really weird stepping out of my community and then dealing with racism because it was like, oh, like this is that thing that people like talk about. Like it's a real thing. But at that point, it was not like a sensitive sore spot for me because I already developed so much confidence in being Asian that whenever I experience it outside of my community, I'm like, oh, like I know I'm confident and happy to be Asian. So when you guys hit me with like racism, I'm like, fuck it. So I'm very blessed to have grown up in an Asian community, so.
On that note, I've noticed in your videos, you adamantly mention, I'm 4th generation Chinese.
Yeah.
What is the significance of being 4th generation Chinese to you?
Oh my God, it's such a weird place to be honest. It's always like kind of been because my friends in the San Gabriel Valley were for the most part, like 1st generation, at most 2nd generation. There's no...
Careful with the candle, by the way.
Oh. Yeah, my elbow was getting a little cold. I wanted to heat it up a bit. But there's not a lot of 4th generation Chinese Americans. So it was, they would call me, a lot of my friends, like my struggle was like not being Asian enough. So I would always have to just deal with like the names of being like, oh, you're whitewashed. Or, oh, you're ABC, American born Chinese, and you're
I've never heard that.
Yeah, ABC, American born Chinese, like every Chinese person knows this phrase. Or Guailo, which means like white ghost in Chinese. They would call me like the white ghost, but man, this guy's such a fucking Guailo. So that was like the thing that I had to deal with, wasn't being Asian enough.
Yeah.
Whereas it's funny because other Asian people in like white communities, they had to struggle with their being too Asian, you know? So, I had to really like buckle down on my Asian culture, and I would always have to, eat as much Asian food as I can. I kind of compensated for it by food. So I would know more about like Asian food than most people, and like I would just, really like show that I was Asian. Like, oh yeah, but I bet I could eat the stinky tofu and the fugu and the fucking like the fucking yao choy and fucking all the different Chinese foods. Like I knew to a T just because like I wanted to feel like I fit in.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of developed my like fucking obsession with Chinese food. And then later on, just food in general.
I was gonna say, because foods is a theme for you.
Yeah, oh my God, I'm a huge nerd about food.
And even cooking food as well, not just eating it.
I like to cook. Yeah, definitely. I made some fire lobster rolls today, man.
And he didn't share any of this with me.
Oh my God.
They're not here on the show.
I want to show you a picture of this.
We're gonna see pictures.
Look at these lobster rolls, man. Look, oh my God. So I toasted this bread.
Pull that up.
Toasted this bread, that's Kewpie mayo in like thyme and butter and garlic. And that's Kewpie mayo, like a Japanese mayo. Got these slices of avocado, and I got this lobster. I boiled the lobster in fennel, lemon, garlic, and then I mixed it with like mayo, butter, and I mixed it with the fennel and chives, and it was just so fresh, and it was just lightly cooked so it wasn't chewy. And then I hit it with like this brioche bun that was toasted, golden brioche bun, and look at me eating it. It was just chili flakes, just absolutely. Me and my homegirl were eating it. Fucking orgasmic food. It was phenomenal. I'm obsessed about this lobster roll. You guys, I wish you guys were able to try that. I'm a huge food fan.
You guys just saw it. That looked amazing.
Yeah.
So, you ever think about having like Brandon's cookbook?
Not a cookbook, man. By no means do I feel like I'm at a place where like I could like, here's how I would do it, because I just Google shit, or I'll like watch other people that I think are good chefs, and like it's like inspiration. Like I have a lot of friends who are really good chefs, and I'll just steal shit from them.
Give us 2. I know pressure's on because if you don't mention the others.
Oh, I mean, I met a guy named Noah Sims lately. He was on Master Chef. He really is a master chef. He was one of the high runner-ups. This towering behemoth of a southern cowboy-looking dude. He speaks with a booming voice. He looks like a fucking walking tree, this guy. But man, he has the finesse of like, he is a real fucking master chef, this guy. And he comes up with things in his recipes that I just would never have guessed. He made a French toast with like this champagne like peach reduction and this raspberry glaze. And then he had truffle butter in his whipped cream. And then he hit it with this truffle honey. And then he put mint on top, which was like, I would have never have thought to put mint on this French toast. And it was like a savory French toast with all of these crazy layers of sweets like baked into it. And it was the best French toast I've ever had. But like the mint was something that like I've been utilizing mint more in my food. You'll see a video of that on YouTube of that French toast because he's gonna post that soon. But
I don't think we can talk about food on this show more often because I don't even want to talk anymore. I'm like, I want that.
Yo,
I want to have food.
It was so good. It was. I'm not a dessert
so
guy.
you got to try it.
Yeah, I gotta eat this. And now like I've been like utilizing mint more in my food because I realized I'm like, wait, this is such an underrated flavor.
Right.
So yeah, like stuff like that. Like I myself, you know, I don't really do the trial and error of having to discover those, but I kind of stand on the shoulder of giants and I see like where literally this guy's a giant and see like, okay, what does he do with these ingredients? And like,
Right.
I mean, I guess that's how everyone really learns, but.
Well, not everyone. Some
not-
people aren't wise enough to just learn from people doing it right.
But you know, I don't think I'm at a place where I can write a cookbook, but I will like document every moment of me just eating things that blow my mind and I'll share that with people. Like I do that all the time.
Okay, people come to California. We're gonna have to wrap up soon here, but people come to California all the time looking for the locals' favorite spots. Oh man! If you could list your 4 favorite places to eat, that if someone was traveling from around the world or even from other states, you have to go to these 4 places.
Okay.
Where would it be?
One of them's got to be Bastia. Have you been to Bastia?
Not yet.
It's an Italian spot in the Arts District. They got a really dope, this like truffle tagliatelle sausage pasta. Tagliatelle, I don't know, I don't speak Italian, but that place is fire. Sushi Enya, one of my favorite sushi spots, really underrated omakase. A little bit pricey, but I think it's every cent is worth it. They take like traditional pieces of nigiri and you can feel the warmth of the rice, but the cool fish on top. You really taste the chef's hand in it. But it's traditional nigiri. I know you gotta taste his fingers in it. It's traditional nigiri, but they put a little twist on shit that like you wouldn't see in other places, but it still tastes traditional. I really love their omakase.
Sushi Enya?
Sushi Enya, yeah.
Okay.
So those are 2. So how many? 3?
4.
4, yeah. I could Hanchik. It's a new spot that opened up in Koreatown. By the way, Koreatown is one of the best eating cities in the world. In terms of food concentration of high quality restaurants, every single block has at least 5 bangers. Koreatown, Los Angeles, it's so underrated. I mean, it's highly rated, but it's still underrated because it's that good.
It's really the parking. That's the worst part.
You know what? As long as you're willing to do valet, like $4, $3 valet, if you're gonna drive out there and have some good food, you tip that much anyways. Might as well just, if you do valet, parking's not that bad.
This is true.
If you're willing to do valet. But Hanchik is a new restaurant. It's one of the few places that I've seen do fusion Korean food well. He does like French and Italian kind of style mixed into like traditional Korean flavor.
Interesting.
He's a new chef. Really proud of that guy. He kicks ass. You gotta try the fucking, what is the pork neck? It's not a kamjatang. Something like a kamjatang, but he makes lettuce tacos out of it with like Mexican salsas almost, with lettuce wraps with this really tender like shredded pork. You make lettuce wraps and it's so killer. And another one, I gotta shout out the SGV. I guess
That's San Gabriel Valley,
Gabriel
for those
Valley.
of you who don't know what that is.
It's hard because there's so many good restaurants just on Valley Boulevard alone. There's thousands of good Chinese spots. But if I were to choose one to go to, Mama Lou, if you're trying to go a little bit like grungy, if you want to just get good dumplings and noodles and like family style shit. Oh my God, there's so many. Or Bistro Na if you're trying to go a little bit more like highbrow. Bistro Na is like it's a company from Beijing, I believe, but they opened up a branch in Arcadia, in Temple City, and they do a really good like honey fried shrimp, and you can eat the skin because it's so crisped up well. It's like a potato chip. You bite right into it, it's juicy. Oh, I could talk about food for fucking days. Oh, don't get me started on this, man.
Well, man, I cannot thank you enough for doing this. Like, this
Dude.
was so much fun. And we're definitely gonna have to try some of these food places. Might even do a little review. And I just want to say thank you guys for watching the very first episode of Talk to Me.
Oh, this is the first.
This is the very first.
Oh, thank you for having me, man.
And this is Brandon Soohoo. My name is Sheldon Butler, and we will see you guys on the other side of the camera.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys.